Welcome back to the Notary Podcast hosted by me, Daniel C. Lewis. And you're going to love this podcast today because I got someone here that I've been wanting on this podcast for years. It's Elaine Wright Harris from Trusted Agent Services Group, LLC in Maryland. You're not going to want to miss this one. Cue the music. Welcome back to the Notary Podcast hosted by me, Daniel C. Lewis. And if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Today, we have none other than Elaine Wright Harris, known in Maryland as the typical creator of courses that she's one of the, I think, her courses in Maryland are the most famous courses. If you want to take a title producer's license class, you have to take Elaine Wright Harris course. She has the Trusted Agent Services Group, LLC. Welcome to the podcast, Elaine.
Thank you, Daniel. How are you?
Doing very, very well. Now, for people that don't know you, can you tell them about yourself in your own words?
All right. Well, again, I'm Elaine Wright Harris, all the way from Bowie, Maryland. And in my own words, I feel that I'm a passionate educator, a storyteller, and I believe in the power of clarity, connection, and working with the community. And so therefore, I feel like I bring energy to the atmosphere when I'm around working with other notaries. And my mission is to make learning approachable, make the messaging that I have memorable, and every interaction with each one of you meaningful. I was the 2005 NNA Notary Special Honoree and also the 2009 NNA Notary of the Year.
Wow, that's very impressive. And just full disclosure, Elaine is my mentor. She's the person I come to when I have questions about the notary industry. But Elaine, what inspired you to be the founder of Trusted Agent Services, LLC, and what problems were you determined to solve?
Well, when I first started out, I didn't have the vision of an LLC. I started out when someone came to my home to do a refinance, and I noticed that he only said this is what I say, he only said two sentences: sign here, and initial here. And I'm thinking, I can do that. So I just asked him, what do you do? And he said, well, I'm a notary. And I said, well, what can I do to become a notary? And he said, they teach classes at the community college down the street. Oh, wow, that was interesting. And I saw that he was making money. So I initially got into the business because of the money. But what I soon found is that there was a love and a passion for the business. And then I began to train others and bring others along with me. And that inspired me to create my LLC, in which not only do I do training for the community college that I first attended to learn about notary, but I also do training for the Secretary of State office, because in my state, you have to take a course and an exam to become a notary. And also, in order to renew as a notary, you have to take a course. So I'm also a provider, this is what we call it, for the Secretary of State office. And then also, in my state, in order to be able to close loans, not only do you have to have a notary commission, but you have to have a title license. So I'm also a provider for the Maryland Insurance Administration. And also I have my own business, Trusted Agent Services Group. So my mission is teaching others.
Yeah, you've been a trainer for several years now. One of the things that I found whenever I've attended conferences, both in Maryland and all over the United States with the NNA, a lot of people, when they talk about your training, they talk about how effective it is and how well it's put together. What how do you measure training effectiveness? Because there's a lot of people trying to be a trainer, but everybody raves about your training.
I think being a trainer, of course, is being able to listen to others. I get lots of questions from the students that I teach as they go out in the field. And then I use their questions as a training base for others, because if they have them, others have them. And I make sure the word gets out through email communications, through notary enrichment days when we all come together, or through a notary public conference. So it's getting that information back out there, but it's information that have come to me through the questions that the notaries have.
Being a trainer, what do you think are the top 3 mistakes that you see newer notaries make, and how can you avoid them?
Okay, the top 3 that they make, well, I find that sometimes they think it's a little easy that we can become a notary and just sign things, just stamp something. But you really have to know what you're doing. You have to have the knowledge of working with people, making people feel comfortable. You have to understand that the regulations for your state or wherever you can get the regulations from are very important. And you have to adhere to those regulations and treat it like a business. It's more than making the money. Trust me.
What advice would you give people, notaries, and I get this all the time, to balancing state-specific law with industry best practices if it seems like becoming a conflict?
Well, okay, so you said about balancing state-specific law with the industry best practices. Well, the law comes first. So the notary has to follow the law. But then there are times when the law is silent. And that's when best practices and procedures come into play. It's not what we think. It's not what baggage that we bring with us. What does the law say about it? And if you don't know what the law says about it, then you call your Secretary of State office and find out where that information can be found. So again, the law comes first, and then when the law is silent, then you can make use of the industry best practices and procedures.
There's a lot. I know when we started, pretty much everybody was doing notary signing agent or doing loans for real estate. They were doing real estate transactions. But now there's a lot of different revenue streams like apostilles, I-9, car deals, estate planning. If a notary had to choose one thing to start off, they're brand new and they need to start off one thing this quarter, what would you recommend they start, how they start?
Well, I think I'm a little biased to loan signing. And the fact that there are lots of other opportunities out there, the field isn't as saturated. So just from my personal experience, I would say loan signing. But you have to do your homework, have to do your research, and see what's going on in your area. Now, other than my personal feeling about loan signing, I like estate planning. I like the fact that I get a phone call from an attorney, and most of the time they, of course, can give me correct information about, what time to be there, what I have to notarize, what type of estate planning document. And they are already, the ones I have dealt with, they're already set up, and I can finish it within about an hour. And they pay decent income based on the number of signatures and notarizations.
How would you coach other notaries to build business-to-business relationships with title companies, attorneys, hospitals, and corporations, things like that? How would you, what advice would you give to notaries that want to build that type of business?
Okay, and that's interesting question, because for about a couple of years, I worked with attorneys that did estate planning for low income, and I would work with notaries, and we would have a certain date and a certain locations where they would go and do the actual notarizations. All right. But now your question is, how would I coach them? I feel the best way to coach, no matter what we're doing, is to know how to notarize properly. Rule number one. Rule number two is know how to work with others, know how to work with people, know how to meet them where they are, because we're all different, but we have to understand other people when you're out there working with the public. And then I also believe in follow-up, thank you cards once I finish, or maybe not a thank you card, but an email or a phone call. So all of those things come into play when we're working with those different institutions.
Now, I've got a question for you because I know you are very good with helping notaries build their websites out. And what elements make a notary website great? And can you tell us a little bit about how you probably help hundreds of, if not thousands of notaries build out their own website?
Okay, so when we talk about website, that narrows down to marketing. That's one way that we can market our services. We have other means of marketing, but it can, like LinkedIn, Facebook, but it all can be captured in our website, no matter what we do. And before I got into the notary business, I had gone to school to become a web designer. And I only had 1 month to complete it when the guy came to my house to do the loan signing, right? And I just wanted to do the loan signing. So what I did, I sort of put the website builder on the back burner, but I did work with my community and different organizations to help them develop a website. But then one day I woke up and I said, you know what? You have this skill. Why don't you share it with others? And then I say, you know what? That's a great idea. Share it with my notaries. So therefore, that's what I do once a month. We have free training, and I'm an affiliate with GoDaddy, whereby I try to get them as far as the minimum cost for their website builder. Now, as far as marketing, one can go as far as they want to go with their website, but I usually talk about 4 what we call web pages that we normally see. You're going to see a home page, and then of course a notary page, and then if you're a signing agent page, and then there's always that contact page. And so therefore, if you have those 4 basic elements in developing your website, you have somewhere to start. Now, I have other people who have, not only do they have the notary business, but they have other businesses. And then there's a way that they can connect those other businesses to their website. So not only with a basic website can you connect social media, but you can also connect your other business or just work with the notary business. And it works out very, very well. And then I've had notaries say, well, you know what? I'm going to do one for my wife. She has a nursery. Or, with these skills, I'm going to develop a website for my church. So it's very interesting in working with developing websites. So if anybody knows Microsoft Word, they can easily transition into developing a website.
How can they develop it with you? Is there a website or a day of the week? How can they get connected to you to help them with that?
All right. Well, I have put out emails as to my schedule for the month. And once a month, I do have free training. And matter of fact, this month is going to be on the 18th of September. And you can provide my website. No, I tell you what I can do, I can give you the promotional email on that, and you can distribute that if you choose to. Yeah, but yes, and it's only 1 hour, and based on 1 hour, they can get a feel for developing their own website, and then after that, if they choose to develop it, then I send them videos and things that they can look at as they go along to try to develop. So it's not just that 1 hour, it's 1 hour to show you how to do it. But then if you choose to do it, then I have supporting videos, how to create a header page, how to create a notary page. All of those things are on short videos.
We'll definitely put that information out there. How can, and I get this question a lot, how can notaries differentiate themselves in a saturated market, or what they call a saturated market in their area? How would you what would you recommend for notaries that think they're in a saturated market?
Okay, now when you say saturated market, we're talking about the fact that there's so many notaries doing different things, or everybody trying to do one thing?
Yes, so many notaries in the same market. Yes.
Okay, well, if it's something that I like, if whatever the field is in our profession that you like, I feel you should pursue. Okay, just because Sally, John, and Joe is in it, that doesn't mean you can't get it. But when you pursue it, you be the best that you can be. Okay, so you do your homework, you talk with people who have done it before you, and just provide the best service, because I feel you have to have a love for what you're doing, not just doing it for the money, not just doing it because Mary is doing it. You're doing it because you want to do it, and it makes you happy as well as you making others happy.
How do you counsel new people coming into the business that say, I want to do this notary business, I really want to do it, but have anxiety about doing it? How do you counsel people like that?
All right. Well, most of them come in, like we had a session about a month or so ago, and this young lady, she had been contemplating being a notary for, I think, 6 months. And so she came to our session, and she just her words was mesmerized by what she saw. And from going out, okay, and seeing the different things that are offered, she selected working with apostilles. And then it just so happened that her cousin, I don't know, you know, Shelly Goss, she's a notary up and coming, and happened to be her cousin who had told her about it 6 months ago. So therefore, Shelly is mentoring her as far as what to do and something that she really wants to do here.
When it comes down to mentoring and coaching, if you go on the internet and put notary in, there's got to be hundreds and not thousands of people saying, I'm your coach, I'm your mentor. What would you consider good qualities of a coach?
Well, the first thing, again, the notary has to do their research. So they're researching on the part of the profession that they want to pursue. And then they're doing the research on the person who's offering it, and also seeing who else may offer those services. It doesn't hurt to give somebody a phone call just to see how it's done if you're in doubt about it. But if it's something that you truly have your mind set on doing it, then you find out everything you need to do in order to make it happen.
Now, here's another question. On the other side, if I was a notary and I was looking for a coach, what should I bring to the table as far as when I'm looking for a coach?
Okay. Let me, I thought about coaching and mentoring, because that's what people talk about all the time. And so, Daniel, what I want to do is take a minute. Hold on a second here. I want to take a minute and make sure we understand coaching and mentoring, okay? So when we take a look at, what is a coach, and trying to determine whether or not we want to coach, or what is a mentor, okay? So when we think about a coach, we're thinking about somebody who can help us with a particular skill, all right, in order to get our business up and running. When we think about a mentor, we think about someone who will be with us there as sort of like a long-term thing and being a mentor. So as far as what I would want in a coach, I would take a look at somebody who's doing exactly what I want to do and get them to coach me. As far as a mentor is concerned, I would look at someone's entire profession and how they have performed in the profession and get them to work with me. Does that answer your question, though, Daniel? I'm going to make sure I'm answering your question.
Yeah, that answers my question. But what I was trying to ask is, like, a lot of people are looking for a coach and they're looking for something in that person. What should the person who's looking for a coach bring to the table? Like, I was thinking maybe an open mind, being coachable, listening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Writing
So,
down, you know, 'cause some people, because I know I had people in my experience that coached me. I'll go through I prepared a whole thing tailored to them, especially. Then at the end of it, they said, well, I didn't take any notes. Can you just write all that down and send it to me? I'm like, you have to be coachable. That's kind of what I was looking for. Do you agree with that?
yes, I do agree with that. You do have to be coachable. And you have to be proactive if someone has the skills and the knowledge that you want, because you have to show that you're willing to put forth the effort in order to make that happen.
You've been a notary now, a notary entrepreneur now for several years. What's one belief you held when you first started that since have changed your mind and you have a different mindset about it?
About being a notary? Well, yes, I've been a notary now going on 23 years. And I read an article, and it was put out by the National Notary Association. And the title of the article was more or less like notarization. And this was years ago, but notarization is more relevant now than ever before. And then, having been a notary for over 2 decades, I've seen where now and then and never before. Now, when we take a look at notary and it being more relevant, we kind of think about remote notarization, okay? And with remote notarization, the way technology, with remote notarization and the way technology has sort of taken over, that's more relevant now than ever before. And so, but one has to understand and make a decision. Is this something for me? Am I technologically oriented? Do I have the patience to work with others? And also, what happens when I work with someone and they don't have technological skills? Can I handle that? So this can be a game changer in the field, as far as remote online notarization is concerned, as knowing where you are, what you can do, and how you're going to do it.
Over the years, like I said, 23 years of being a notary entrepreneur, you can have definitely a lot of consistency and a very professional presence year in, year out. I see you at conferences every year, and every year the bars just higher for everybody when they come across you, because your consistency, your professionalism, your effectiveness have been there. What habits or routines do you have, your daily habits, that help you stay consistent and professional?
Okay, I look at professionalism as doing my job correctly. But we do other things in life. We have families, we have our church, and so there's more things that we have to balance. What I found that worked for me is that I have to get up 4 o'clock in the morning and start my day. And I give myself from 4 a.m. to about 10 a.m. And that's my work day most of the time. And then, of course, I teach in the evening sometimes. But it allows me to balance other things in my life. I find that very, very important.
If a listener could implement 3 action steps this week to upgrade their notary business, what would you suggest?
Okay, if you want to upgrade your notary business, again, take a look as to where you are. Where are you? Are you working full time? Or are you home during the day? How much time do you have, in order to in order to work the profession? So take a look at where you are. Then you're going to take a look at where you want to go, or what you want to do, or where you want to be in the business. And then the next step would be make it happen. Do what you need to do your research, and make it happen for you. And be consistent. Be consistent. And the reason why I say that is that sometimes I hear notaries, they hear about this over here, and then they hear about this over here. But you've got to be single-minded and stick-to-itiveness. You got to stick with what you're doing in order to make it happen. And having done this for over, 23 years, I'm definitely seeing the fruits of my labor, and sticking to the training. Of course, I started out as far as the loan signing, and then it got so big, I began to train other people. But just sticking with it, that would make a big difference.
I got a couple of quick fire fun questions for you, and then we're going to wrap up. Our first question is, during a long loan signing day, would you prefer coffee, tea, or alcohol?
Tea.
Oh, tea.
Tea.
Your favorite tool or template you use every week for your notary business?
Favorite tool or template that I use every week, I would say Zoom.
Zoom. Okay, very good. Okay.
Zoom. Oh, yes. Oh, what would we do without Zoom?
What would we do without Zoom? Biggest myth about the notary industry that you want to debunk?
Well, what I think I said just earlier in the video, but as notaries, we do more than just stamp things. You have to know what you're doing, how it's done, and how it affects others.
And one word that describes the future of the notary profession.
Oh, the future of the notary profession is here. Think about this. Nothing moves in this world without a notary. I had someone call me the other week, Miss Elaine, my mother is going to El Salvador, and she's taking my 3-year-old son. And so I need something notarized saying it is okay for him to go out of the country. No problem. I'm right there to do it. We get a call. When I say we, I'm talking about me and my husband, because he is a notary just as long as I've been a notary, and he teaches with me too. He gets a call saying, you notarized something for me the other week, and but I need another one notarized. You think about somebody who's retiring. They have to have something that their spouse have to sign. Nothing moves in this world without a notary. And so, yes, the notary is here to stay. It's going to get larger. It's going to get bigger. And the integrity that we bring to documents is not that we're authenticating the documents, but the integrity that we bring to the documents means that the process of notarizing properly is authenticated.
Any final words because you're a seasoned notary, and I've seen a lot of seasoned notaries out there, but their business has gone flat. Any final words or recommendations you'd give to those seasoned notaries that business has gone flat, but they need some kind of words of inspiration?
Well, I would say that you can do anything that you put your mind to doing in order to make it happen. Your business has gone flat. Do you choose to let it stay flat, or do you choose to let it rise? If you choose to let it rise, then who are you going to connect with? Daniel Lewis. I mean, he's the man here. Nothing moves without Daniel Lewis, right? So you want to connect with someone, whether it's a coach, whether it's a mentor, and then you have to do your part in order to make it happen.
Any final words, final thoughts?
Well, we are in the best profession that anyone can have. I've been in many professions, but this is it, because not only are you helping yourself, but you're helping other people. And that's a really good feeling.
Elaine, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I have to have you back on the podcast. You have helped me personally and professionally so much over the years. I'm just so happy that we've been able to get you on the podcast to connect. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast, Elaine.
Well, Daniel, I want to thank you. You are light for everybody. I'm so glad. I don't know that spark that brought us together, but you are a wonderful person, you and your family.
Thank you so much. Now, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the podcast. Can't wait to see you next week. Next week is going to be good too. See you next week. See you. Say bye, Elaine.
Bye-bye.